just look at this as completely the end of 2013 and you'll forget about this tournament and start with a clean slate for next year, or is there anything from this that you'll carry over into the new season?
No, I mean, I think always the end of the season carries over in some way, shape, or form, good or bad. Clearly, you look at the whole season as a whole, and but then again, it's just about hard work, about relaxing a little bit, recover from all inflammations you might have in your body, because those also need to disappear a little bit, because you try to start the next season as physically good as you can and sort of mentally refreshed, I'd say. So you're going to look back a little bit, but once you actually start the off season, I think you're just happy to be playing tennis again after a bit of a break, and then you kind of start sitting down on what would you like to work on, where do you feel like your game's got to go, and that's really only later, in the later stages of practice, towards the end, is where maybe you start talking about maybe future opponents again and all that stuff. But in the off season, that actually you take a bit of a break of all of that stuff, the tactical maneuvering.
You said that you hoped that you'd be able to play with a little bit less pressure than usual because maybe it was an underdog situation. Were you able to play in the way that you wanted to?
At times, not throughout. Went for it when I had a chance, in the break point in the first set. So maybe shouldn't have, but I did. So no regrets there, I guess. But I just struggled to stay consistent enough throughout the match, and that's why he deserved to win. He was better today.
Roger here, hello.
Yeah.
In any case, at the beginning of the match, your serve was going fluent and you had break points. It could have gone other way.
Could have, yeah. But also could have not. So, and it didn't at the end. So that's all that matters, really. I very rarely go through matches where I have no chance and had no opportunities. This game is a game of, making or missing your opportunities, and today was a little bit more of that again, but I thought, the margins were more on his side. He was playing more consistent. He was playing more solid. He plays the way he always plays, and I just couldn't come up with the shots when I needed them, forehand or serve or moving forward. It's unbelievable that he gets away with playing so far back and on indoors these days, but that's the conditions, so credit to him for making that work for him.
Roger, you seem to really hit over on your backhand a lot in the returns and in the rallies, and also hit it down the line. Do you feel like you were hitting it well? Was that part of the plan? And can you also talk about what it is about Nadal that makes it so difficult to slice effectively against him?
Well, he's a lefty, number one, and that makes everything different. If you compare it to yesterday's match and today's match, it's like I have to play two different ways. So for me, it's much more of a change. It's not an excuse, but I definitely have to play totally different, and he can play pretty much the same like he plays against Berdych or Stan and so forth. So it's definitely more up to me to getting used to the lefty spin quicker, coming over the return very often instead of chipping it, which I've been doing all week. So there's always going to be a bit of a up and down from that standpoint, but I thought it was okay at times, but just my court position, getting used to knowing exactly the dimension, how things are going to work out, is sometimes a bit tricky. And that's why I didn't either choose the wrong side, or I just can't get the read I usually get, like against Del Potro or Gasquet or Djokovic for that matter. So that's why it really changes everything around. And he does a good job picking up the slice, and he does a good job, staying on the baseline when he needs to. And he can also play from back, so he's got multiple options, and that's what makes him so tough to play against.
Roger, I know 2013 is only just finishing, but at this stage, if you looked at 2014, what would be a satisfactory year for you? Would it be one where you didn't have any physical issues, where you improved your ranking, or would you still very much feel that a Grand Slam is what makes a satisfactory year for you?
Yeah, winning titles. Yeah, winning 5 titles or something, I guess. Something exciting, leaving tournaments as the winner. That's what keeps things exciting. Rankings, if it's not world number one, then I'm not that, interested in, even though you kind of look at it and it would be nice to stay, in the top 4, top 8, that kind of thing, just for seeding purposes more than anything else. And but other than that, it's either world number one or the big tournaments or tournaments in general.
Roger, how important is it to you next year going in to have a ranking that's going to get you in a position so you might not have to face these top guys early on? Maybe playing Novak or Rafa early on in tournaments. Is that important to you? And secondly, just where do you assess yourself after the last few weeks of the season here?
Well, it doesn't matter if I played in the last 16s or quarters. Let's be honest. The points difference is minor. Losing in the quarters is like losing in the first round for us at the top. So that's why either you're good enough to make it to the semis and finals, and then especially wins, because it's really a tour of winners. If you look at the points difference from the points I'll make of this tournament and what the winner is going to make, it's like I never even played this tournament almost, which is fine. But the winner deserves it all. But it's very extreme, and that's why when you don't win tournaments or you're not at the very, very top very consistently, your ranking starts definitely slipping. But, I think something's possible for next year. I think it was a stronger finish than I thought it was going to be here now in Basel, Paris, and London. So I'm more positive now, looking ahead, than I would have been, a few months ago, where I wasn't quite sure what to expect after the U.S. Open. But I'm, back confident and excited, going into the off season and starting again next year. So, like I mentioned, the rankings are secondary for me. It's important to stay within a certain ranking. But after that, I need to make sure that I stay competitive and I can hang with the best and then particularly beat the best.
What have you learned specifically from this week, and how confident are you that you'll be back here again next year?
Well, what I learned is that I can play 3 weeks pretty easily. I played a lot of matches, as of late. A lot of three-setters, a lot of tennis. So from that standpoint, that's very satisfying, knowing that the body can do it, the mind can do it, life allows it to happen. So I'm happy that I have that option as well, that I know I can play 3 weeks in a row, because I remember Agassi didn't do that at all anymore towards the end of his career. He used to play 1, maybe 2, and then he would always pull out the third week if there was something planned. So for me, I'm happy. I was able to play Basel, Paris, and here now in London through extreme tough conditions, with a lot of running and tennis and traveling and so forth. So that standpoint, I'm very pleased. And, just beating again 2 top 10 players is a good thing for me after not having beaten any for almost 7 or 8 months. And considering the back issues I had, I'm pleased that I'm pain-free for a long period of time now with a lot of tennis. And that's definitely also going to give me confidence physically and also mentally. Nobody is. It's not a free ticket. Not like you guys.
Roger, you played... It's funny. You've played Rafa now 32 times since the start of 2004. Do you feel like he's substantially improved since then, and do you feel like you have? Since you first played him, 2004.
We improved more?
No, not to improve more. Just talk about his level of improvement and then your own.
Well, I think he definitely starts to play better, naturally better on the quicker courts. There was no way around that, because usually 70% of the tour you play is on hard court. So he just had to get used to that more, I guess. And the good thing is in the beginning stages, how old was he? Was he 18 when I played him first? It's very young still. So the improvement you're going to make from 18 to 22 is always going to be an extreme one, especially in his situation, because he was on tour. Plus, he's a quick learner. He's a great player. Because everybody played to his weakness, let's say. Everybody played the backhand, like everybody played my backhand first. Then that becomes more consistent. So then they go hard into your forehand. Then you improve that and eventually become that well-molded player, which he is today, which we know. And I think he improved lots. For me, in 2004, I was already established. For me, it was about maintaining, staying injury-free already. I was in a totally different phase of the career. And for that reason, I don't think you can compare it, actually.
Roger?
Your left. I would like to ask you about Rafa. Do you think is the moment has arrived the moment when he is going to win this Master Cup? And if he does it, what do you mean for you that winning everything? I don't know, the 4 Grand Slams, Olympic gold, Davis Cup, and also this Master Cup. What does it mean?
Well, what does it mean to me? I would be very happy for him. In general, I'll be very happy for him. It's the same thing, really. I think he would deserve it because he's improved a lot on all conditions. He put himself in a position to win this tournament before. Here he is again after missing it last year. I think it's nice for him and his season finishing world number 1. Almost you would expect the world number 1 to be in the finals of this tournament, so that's the case. I think it's great for the tournament, and clearly you have to wait and see how the match goes tonight. Don't know if he would be the favorite against Djokovic, but he would probably be definitely the favorite against Stan. So it's an interesting night for him, and he's probably hoping that Stan's going to win tonight.
Roger, what is it especially about this sport and your love for it that wants you to keep coming back year after year?
Well, I don't know, what do you like about writing? I mean, for me, it's pretty simple. I love. This is what I used to do as a little boy, you know. So something that always is there in your DNA. It's like almost started walking at the same time I started playing tennis in some ways, you know. So it's like one of those moments where you're just happy out on the court. You're happy improving, happy trying to change things, adjusting now. Clearly today it's different than when I was 12 years old, you know, and trying to just, I don't want to say have fun. I mean, I was trying to make a breakthrough too at some certain level back then as well, but it's just something I enjoy doing. And the thing is that when you stop, you're still so young that why stop so early, you know? Why just walk away from it? Because, I mean, I have many other things to do in my life, you know, other than play tennis, but because I can still choose, I pick to play. And as long as I have that choice, I'll keep on playing.
Roger, clearly the older you get, the harder it is to bounce back from tough matches. You've spoken about that quite a lot. One of the extraordinary things about Rafa and Novak is that this ability they seem to have to bounce back in a very short space of time from a grueling match. From your experience, how much longer will they be able to do that? They're 26, 27. At what point do you think for a sort of finely tuned athlete does this become more of an issue?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know where the game's going to go, and they're clearly in their prime right now in terms of age and the way they're playing and rankings and so forth. So from that standpoint, you would think that that's going to still be, for some time, they'll be able to do that. Rafa started earlier, you know, on the tour, and he was unbelievably successful as a teenager, like Bjorn Borg was. I mean, I think they're the 2 most successful teenagers we've had in our sport already. So for Rafa, maybe you have to almost consider him a little older. Plus, he's had more severe injuries than maybe Novak has had. But I don't know how much that plays into it all, you know. I think for them it's about more commitment, wanting to do it, wanting to bounce back, and wanting to take the pain, you know, day in, day out. That's the grind that's more difficult, and I think, than the actual bounce back, because I've just played 3 weeks in a row and it's fine, you know. Of course, I was a little tired today, but you can block that out to a degree. And so from that standpoint, I think the way they play, the way they do all of that defending, is just something you really want. And if you don't want it anymore, then retirement probably comes in very quickly.
Roger, are you planning to play next season more tournaments than this year? And is the 18th Grand Slam title a big chance you see, a little obsession, or just a chance you think you might have next year?
I don't know if I'm going to play more necessarily. I'm just going to play a full schedule. What that means, I don't know yet. I mean, it's pretty much planned through my season. So then clearly Grand Slams are going to be part of my highlights, to hoping to sort of make sure I play my best there, you know, with some selective other events that I consider important to me. Some of the Masters 1000s, then hopefully have something left for the World Tour finals at the end of next year, because that's clearly a goal, and then just some personal goals, because there's a big gap as well between Australia and the French Open. So I just still have to decide what the goal is there, and then I'll just attack and try to play good tennis.
Thank you.